Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. This one is all about people's judgments of you, men versus women. So we're going to get into how men judge you versus women judge you. What are their judgments or assessments of you that they're making in their head when they meet you? We're going to get into all of it. By the way, today is probably geared a little bit more towards women. So if you are one of my male viewers, you might not resonate with this one as much. You could still watch it and maybe you could resonate, but find your energy flip. Like maybe you think that the pile of how women perceive you might be for how other men perceive you. Anyway, take what resonates, leave the rest. But yeah, this one is a little bit more geared towards women. Anyways, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Basically, you're going to see which of these paintings is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it. And then as soon as you make up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description and jump right into your pile. By the way, I always recommend people choose their piles based on the energy that is calling them in, drawing them in, calling their name, not necessarily your favorite painting or the one you would stare at a gallery, but just the one that energetically is calling you in, just like you would decide for any other pick a card reading. By the way, if you like how I read tarot and you want more of my content, then check out my Patreon. You can head down to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. There are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for Patreon, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So if all of that sounds good to you and you're interested in signing up, like I said, the link is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, whether you want me to read your astrology channel for you, just pull tarot, whichever, a combination of all three. You can have it be a live session, you can have it be pre-recorded, you get to really customize your session so it's perfect for you, and you can book that via my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link for that is in my description. So that's about all I have to say, guys. So if you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey pile one, welcome to your reading. Let's get into your cards. We have two separate piles today. This one is men's judgments of you and this one is women's judgments of you. So let's start out with the men's judgments. We got the Prince of Swords, Three of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, and the Eight of Swords. And for women's judgments of you, we got the Three of Swords, the Two of Swords, Four of Pentacles, and the Seven of Cups. So the first thing I'm getting is that men are probably pretty intimidated by you. I feel like a lot of them may want to approach you or want to talk to you, but you do seem very confident and very like well-spoken and good with your words. They may see you as highly intelligent and kind of be unsure of whether you even like are looking for someone to talk to. Like if they want to approach you in a romantic sense, I feel like there's this vibe that you give off that you are very independent and very like don't really need anyone. It's almost like you're very, again, like a high achiever or very accomplished or very smart, and you might see through their BS. So if they came up and tried to use some like recycled line that they've used on someone else, you would sense that and be like, don't talk to me. Like I feel like there's this very strong, powerful energy that you guys give off. I feel like at the same time, they do see you as someone that they would want to start a relationship with, because we do have the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups can indicate a really long-term relationship, even sometimes, depending on the tarot reading, a child, like giving birth to a child. So I feel like they definitely see you as like very nurturing long-term relationship potential. But I also feel like they see you as like there's a wall up, or even like you're very top tier. So whatever, usually they would use a line or maybe feel comfortable just coming out with some cheesy whatever. They wouldn't want to do that with you because they feel like you would see right through that. As far as how women are judging you, we have the Three of Swords and the Two of Swords. So those are two kind of sorrowful cards coming through. I feel like sometimes women also are intimidated by you. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of sword energy coming through. The swords are an intimidating tarot suit anyway. It literally depicts, you know, someone fighting with swords, which is kind of scary. So I do feel like a lot of people are low-key a little bit scared of you. I feel like sometimes women almost might assume the worst about you, or might think that like you're you're gonna like steal their man if you're another woman or whatever, or might think that you are like stuck up or whatever. If they have any insecurities, I feel like they definitely project those insecurities on you, even if you're trying to be friendly. I feel like sometimes people almost like don't want you there, like the women, especially if they're in competition, or like it's if you date men and they also date men, they don't want you in the same room because I feel like that almost takes away from their shine or whatever. I feel like sometimes people can see a vulnerability in you, but there's also this like, I don't really care if this person is vulnerable because they are kind of coming into my territory. Like, I'm afraid of what they're going to take away from me. So, like, sorry if you're feeling sad, but like, you got to go. I feel like sometimes women get very like almost in their feelings about you, where maybe the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, it seems so kind of different and unique that sometimes it inspires people to maybe like look at their own fashion, and sometimes that might not be a pleasant experience for them. I feel like sometimes the way you carry yourself, it's very, like I said, intimidating, and there's something about it that kind of like sticks out, but not in a trying for attention way. Like, you seem very put together and confident, but I also feel like you seem like someone who has a really unique sense of personal style. And again, I feel like for someone who maybe is following the crowd or trying to fit in, they may have really liked their outfit before they showed up at the party, and then you were there, and then suddenly they're feeling insecure about it. I also feel like, yeah, sometimes women may seek you out when they're feeling like wounded or sad about things. They might seek you out when they feel like they need someone to talk to. I feel like they can sense that you are a sweet person underneath that. So it's funny, you might have a lot of different reactions because there's a lot of resentment that I feel like gets directed. Sorry, guys, I had to pause for a moment because my camera ran out of space. But anyway, getting back into it. Basically, I feel like a lot of women who are maybe in a vulnerable place and are really looking for a friend, they may sense that very sweet side to you and be like, oh, let me come to them and tell them my problems. There's an energy, a lot of people looking up to you, seeing you as very confident, seeing you as very knowledgeable. Like, we got the Three of Pentacles over here, the Four of Pentacles here. You almost give me like a vibe of like a crone in kind of the three phases of women, like the older wise woman. Even if you're very young, I feel like you have this maturity about you that you almost seem like you can see through people. So I feel like for both men and women, that can be intimidating. For women who are really in need of help or who are feeling really vulnerable, they very much might gravitate towards you, and you might find a lot of women who just pour out their problems on you, like tell you all their stress, you know, want to talk to you and get your advice about like, what should I do with my boyfriend, blah blah blah. I feel like they know that you're like a trusted voice and someone that they can turn to. Like, you're not gonna give them bad advice. You seem very like much more logical and very intelligent than maybe the average person. So I feel like they know you would be a good source of knowledge. But if someone's like in a dysfunctional relationship or living a dysfunctional life, that can also intimidate them. Also, a lot of men can be very drawn to this archetype because they can find it to be almost like, I know it's weird, but like a mother figure, or that wife that would be that really trusted wife that you could go to for any problem and could help them and could guide them. So a lot of men actually can be extremely attracted to this type of feminine archetype. And I feel like sometimes women who are insecure in their relationships may experience some jealousy because of that and may really like resent you as a result. I also feel like there are men who could resent you. Instead of being attracted to this, they might get intimidated by the fact that you can kind of see through them. So guys who want that powerful partner may really like you and be really, really drawn to you and really like come on hard. But guys that are maybe just wanting something easy and they don't want to be really known intimately may really run from this and kind of resent you as a result. Let's get into some more cards. We want some tarot for how men are perceiving pile one. What are their judgments? We got the King of Swords. More swords. We're getting like every sword card in these decks. Let's see. The Temperance card. And the Knight of Cups. What are men's judgments of pile number 1? Okay, and the 4 of Wands. Great. And then let's do women. What are women's judgments of pile number 1? 7 of Wands. Again, that competitive vibe. Wow. The World's card. What are women's judgments of pile 1? The Ace of Cups coming out for the second time. And we also got the 7 of Swords. Yeah, so definitely women can be sneaky and underhanded when it comes to you, and they can find themselves even acting out of character. Like, I feel like there's times when women have like screwed you over or been really mean to you, and then afterwards been like, why did I act like that? Or like, oh my God, why was I so mean? Or why did I screw her out of that job? Or why did I have to come for her like that? It's not even like, they might even feel shame about it or be like regretful, like, that was crazy. I don't usually do that. But I feel like you sometimes trigger other women because they really do see you as very together. Like, we got the World card, which is the final card in the Tarot Major Arcana, the completion of the journey from the Fool to the World, throughout all the different cards and the journeys and the moments that we see in the Major Arcana. So it really is that moment of completion and celebration, and I did it. I've reached the end. I'm complete. And there's like this power and permanence that I feel like you guys give off. Like, you just seem very together. You also seem very independent. I'm not gonna lie, you don't seem like the kind of woman who would need like desperately to be in a relationship and would put up with the BS and put up with like lying, cheating, nonsense in order just to have a man. Like, you seem very competent. You seem very in your own energy, in control, self-sustaining. And I feel like for women that are maybe slightly thinking about taking that path themselves, that could be really inspiring to them, and they might be like, wow, that is so cool. I love pile number 1. So you might actually find a smaller group of women who almost view you as like a mentor and almost like are your fans. Like, you might find that you get very polarized reactions, sometimes women hating and being so mean to you for no reason and like really coming for you, and then also like a smaller group of women that are just like obsessed with you, and like as soon as you meet them want to invite you to everything, or just like want to follow you on social media and just get like they look up to you, like they think of you as so cool. I feel like, yeah, it really depends on where someone is in their soul journey, with their shadow work, with their ego work, ego death, all that, whether they're very in their ego and they find your completion and your self-power as a threat, or whether they see it as exciting and like, wow, that's so cool, I want to do that one day. So you kind of either inspire, or you might really anger someone, to be honest, and they might find themselves getting really, really competitive with you. Got the 7 of Wands, 7 of Swords. Yeah, and like being very underhanded sometimes with you, because I feel like they're also almost afraid of direct confrontation when it comes to you, because you do seem very smart and well-spoken. So they might know that like, I'm kind of acting like a total jerk, so let me not come at it and admit what I'm doing. Let me do it like very hidden, and let me hide this, and let me pretend everything's cool, but like stab them in the back. For men, we got the King of Swords, the Temperance, Knight of Cups, the 4 of Wands. I feel like you really also get this very intense polarizing reaction in men too. I'm getting like some of y'all have a really strong sun, or maybe Pluto in the first house or something. It feels like you just really polarize people. Like, you either like, they either hate you or they love you. They're either obsessed with you or they can't stand you. So many Pluto conjunct ascendant people have this, by the way, like Taylor Swift, Madonna, Beyonce, but those are like probably the 3 biggest pop stars. So have Pluto conjunct the ascendant, by the way, is what I'm talking about. But this energy where like there's so many people that hate them, and then there's so many people that love and are obsessed. And so it really is a power, even though sometimes this might feel annoying that you're like, why do you hate me? I just walked in. But anyway, for the men, I feel like a lot of them, yeah, do see you as like almost like this challenge. And if they are in a place where they're very insecure, if they're in a place where like they haven't had a lot of success with women, they haven't gotten a lot of positive feedback from women, they might be very triggered by you, because you're not just like even the level of a normal woman that might, laugh when they do a cheesy pickup line. Like, you really see through them so deeply, and there's a deeper power in you than even that they might find with a normal woman. and let alone with you. So I feel like they might very much get annoyed by you sometimes, and you might find guys being randomly rude to you or nasty to you. I feel like it is because you kind of step on their ego a little bit and you're not impressed by the BS and you really can see through them. On the other hand, I feel like guys who are feeling confident or are almost like cocky, like some of y'all in this pile, you might attract a lot of players. Many of your serious relationships may have been with players, because I feel like a normal guy wouldn't have the cojones to like actually approach you, come up to you and ask you out. So it's almost like the only guys who are willing to do that are going to be like player types, going to be guys that have lots of women falling on their feet. And then that might be kind of annoying for you, because you might be like, I just want like a nice, sweet guy that's not like played around for years and hasn't had all these exes and hookups, and I want like a loyal guy that's so excited to be with me. But you just attract the players. And the good side, I guess the upside, is that, a lot of girls probably would want to get these guys attention, and you're one of the only ones that can sustain it for long term, because they do see you as a challenge and they like that. On the other hand, again, if you're looking for that really loyal guy that's just going to be like, oh, I can't believe a girl's talking to me and I'm so lucky to be with my partner, that might not be this like the kind of guy you attract. You might attract players whether you like it or not. And I feel like it's because, again, a normal guy is just intimidated by you. You see this a lot with like supermodels, that they'll attract, the only guys that are going to come up to a supermodel or an A-list actress are going to be those player types, because every other dude would never feel brave enough to actually do it. And I feel like with you, you just seem so smart, very powerful. There's also something where you can be very fun with the Four of Wands and maybe great at like sustaining conversation. You might be a really good conversationalist, very easy to talk to. And I am getting, again, that mothering, nurturing kind of crone mother energy, like older feminine energy, not a young, bubbly, like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here energy, but like a older woman energy. So like mom or older, like crone mother energy, but it's extremely powerful feminine energy. And a lot of men are very drawn to this archetype. A lot of men. It's one of the most powerful feminine archetypes. So I feel like for you, you might find also that men who maybe, like I said, he's a player usually, or he's really strong and tough most of the time, and everyone else thinks like, oh, he's such a bad boy or something, but around you they turn into like a little pile of mush and they tell you all their problems and they want to cuddle you and they're just like really vulnerable with you and you give them guidance. I feel like you definitely bring out that side in men that maybe normally a lot of the men who come to you who are brave enough to approach would be seen as like, oh, they're so cool, they're so tough, they're so bad and awesome, and like they're such a rebel or whatever. And then with you, they turn into like a little baby and you end up nurturing them. But anyway, let me clear these. I'm going to clear this whole thing. I just want a fresh room for the cards. And then we are going to pull from this deck. So we want to know what are men's judgments of pile one, and then we're going to do women's. What are men's judgments of pile one? Fortune's wheel, luck and right timing, will-o'-the-wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows, wailing tree reconciliations, and whale song resonating. And then for women, what are women's perceptions of pile number one? Okay, so we got magician's sword, confidence in your magic, mindful groupthink, and let's get a couple more. Hollow bone, teachability, and one more. Beloved, radical acceptance. Yeah, I do feel like a lot of what's coming through is like a lot of women really look up to you, really think of you as like extremely cool and like a bit of a role model. Like they literally want to learn from you. We got this teachability card, and I feel like they see you as a teacher. They see you as someone they could learn from. And I also feel like a lot of women, they know, they can feel the resonance and the energy that you can pull these like really high desire guys, like the kind of guys that a lot of other girls would probably want to date but might get ghosted by, or the guy wouldn't want to talk to them for long, and you really are capable of sustaining their interest. So a lot of the guys that maybe certain girls think of as like, oh wow, he's so cute, but he's a bad boy, he'd break my heart, you can land them. And again, depending on where someone is in their journey, whether they are you know, have worked through some ego issues, they're not a jealous type of person or envious type of person, these women might really love that and be like, ooh, teach me your ways. That's so cool. Get a girl and be supportive of this. And for the women that haven't worked through their issues and are still in a jealous, envious, low vibrational ego state, they might be very upset by this. And they might really hate you and be really bothered by you, because they can see, we got the groupthink card, they can see that you are a very, like, I don't know how to describe, I don't want to say popular, because I feel like sometimes you're unpopular because people get triggered, but you are kind of like always the one in control. They can see that you're like the star of the show. I was also mentioning, I mentioned it briefly, but I could see very powerful Leo energy for this pile, or sun energy, like sun in the first house. I could see Pluto in the first house, as I mentioned, or a Scorpio ascendant or a Leo ascendant. It feels like, or a Leo sign, it feels like you guys just naturally attract a lot of that attention and have people like turning, staring at you, noticing you. I could also see other outer planets conjuncting the ascendant, like Neptune or Uranus, but you just seem to have that polarizing effect, but it's almost like people can't turn away. They're just drawn and fascinated by you. So women can tell this, like other women can notice that people's heads turn when you walk into the room, and that you just kind of naturally attract attention. And like I said, if they're at a place where they're not mired in a lot of jealousy and they're not angry, they might like think that's really awesome, like that's sick, and like I love the power she has, and I love the fact that she doesn't put up with the same BS from guys that maybe they have in the past. They might love the way that, you know, if a guy comes up to you with a cheesy pickup line, you'd like block them out, you wouldn't have anything to do with them. You're really kind of perceived as like a top tier female. So if they are at a place where they've worked through their ego, then they're going to love this. If they aren't, then they're definitely going to be triggered. Then we have over here for the men, the Fortune's Wheel, Will o' the Wisp. I feel like a lot of men do fantasize about you. Well, I feel like a lot of men are very drawn to you and see you as extremely powerful, extremely dynamic, but it's almost like most of them feel you're out of their league, so they wouldn't even try. Like they might fantasize about what it's like to be with you, but they also would be too intimidated and afraid of actually coming up with you and your actual reaction to that. They may dream about, especially if this is someone from your past, we got Wailing Tree reconciliations, running into you one day, or have a fantasy about like meeting you in a coffee shop and you're very open to them and you laugh at all their pickup lines or something. So I feel like men do really like you. There's also an energy of some men enjoying your personality, seeing you as very witty. We got the Four of Wands for you as well, seeing you as a lot of fun to be around, and seeing you as someone who would make an excellent partner. Like you're not just a bore to hang out with. I feel like a lot of men actually do get quite a kick out of you and see you as like someone that's just fun and easy and like entertaining. And again, this is another reason why it might prompt some intimidation from them, because it's kind of like you're not just one thing. You're not just like a pretty face, or you're not just really smart, but I feel like you really have all the bases covered. You have kind of like you have it all. You have that perfect 10 vibe. So I feel like for some of them, even though they are drawn to this, even though they really like this about you, there's also this vibe of being a little bit scared of it. And for guys who are very low vibrational, it may really trigger them. They might resent you, they might try to sabotage you, they might be a little bit jealous of you guys, or even, yeah, low-key kind of like envious of you. And so they might really do underhanded things or try to bring down your self-esteem or neg you. I also feel like the guys you date might end up being very possessive of you sometimes. They might end up really worrying and stressing out about you, like talking to other guys or going out, or socializing with other people, because again, they see you as just very top tier, and that like, of course, other people are going to like them because they bring all this to the table and because they are this kind of total package. So on one hand, it's a good thing that they see you as, they recognize your value. On the other hand, it could lead sometimes to fights, or you might sometimes feel smothered in relationships, and you might really like your freedom as a result of that, because I feel like you kind of bring out that side from men as well. Sometimes maybe with other partners, they would have been completely chill and been like, oh yeah, you're going out tonight, have fun, see you later. But I feel like with you, it kind of drives them up a wall a little bit, or makes them worry more. Let's get some final cards for you. Pile number one, we want to know What are men's judgments of pile number 1? Golden Palace, Dragon's Lair, Dry Desert, and Rock Bottom. And for women's perceptions and women's judgments of pile 1, we got Magical Map Shifter, Protecting Treasure, Heal the Ouch, and let's get one more, Ride the Wave. I feel like there's some women that get kind of jealous because you seem like you have this kind of magical energy around you, low-key. Like you seem like sometimes you're the kind of girl that just would get given a latte for free at the coffee shop, or maybe this is a projection other girls make of you. You might get told you have pretty privilege or something like that. I feel like sometimes there are girls that may think you've had everything handed to you, or oh, you have it so easy with guys, you've probably never been rejected, or you never had your heart broken, or whatever. They may even perceive you as kind of bougie or stuck up at times, or that you're very like, you've always been very protected, you've always been very sheltered. I feel like sometimes women who have like had a rough life may really see this as like deeply unfair, and it might very much trigger them or upset them, because they might concoct this fantasy that like you've never had any pain, never had any bad things happen to you. And there are girls who might, on the other hand, be like, oh, that's so cool, wow, I bet she has everything given to her, oh my gosh, I would love that, let me learn from her. So you definitely have this powerful kind of polarizing energy. Like it's like you bring out the best and worst to people, and their reaction to you is going to have a lot more to do with how they are inside than actually it does with you, although it does say a lot about your energy as well. But I feel like they see you as very empowered as well. We got the Magical Map Shifter card, which can talk about really making your own identity or your own destiny. And I feel like that's something people perceive about you very strongly. You seem extremely empowered. You don't seem like the kind of person who would have to settle or who would make choices based on like desperation, like, oh, I'll just date this guy because I need money and I'm so like broken down. Not that, you know, there's anything wrong with that if you have to, but I feel like you just seem like someone who's very autonomous and in charge of themselves and able to make their own decisions in life. And you seem like someone that's always going to choose you. You seem like someone who has this real backbone of strength that pushes you through to like make the best choices for yourself. Like you're not trying to like adjust yourself to make anyone else happy. You seem very empowered. And again, how someone feels about themselves is going to say a lot about how they react to this. For guys, they might also perceive you with this bougie vibe. With that Golden Palace card, they might perceive you as someone who has a lot of money, expects a lot, maybe that you are very like fancy, or that they might not be able to afford you at times. They may see you as someone who's a little bit selfish, but again, I think they see that as something that's a little bit attractive, a little bit of a challenge, a lot of these men. And also just very wise, also someone who could give them really good guidance. And as much as you are tough and strong, it's also kind of, you'd make a great mom. You'd be like that harsh mom that would like make sure the kids did well in school and like take care of everything and give really good guidance. So on one hand, even though it may scare them, you might also find you inspire certain men to step up from the plate. Like you might find a guy you're dating suddenly wants to get a new job and get paid more, or he starts stressing out about the car he's driving and tries to get like a better model. I feel like sometimes you make people want to step up more and kind of take a look at themselves and be like, oh, maybe this is shabby, or maybe I could improve this, or maybe that could be better. Because I feel like they can also perceive that you have high standards for yourself and others, and that energy really comes out strongly from you, that you just expect the best from everyone, from yourself, from the rest of the world. And it's like you live up to those standards yourself, so you're going to need that from your partner. So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. I really hope that resonates. If you want to see more of my readings, check out my Patreon. There are over 90 exclusive readings over there. I just posted one all about what is your karmic or soul connection with this person. One I posted before that is how have people's views about you changed? How do they view you differently now? But there are so many different topics over there. You also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So if that sounds sounds good to you and you want to join me on Patreon, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me over there. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a tarot session with me, astrology session, channeling session, a combination of all three, have a pre-recorded reading or a live one-on-one session. You get to really customize the reading, so it's perfect for you. If that sounds good, head to the link underneath, or no, head to the link in the description for briarrosetarot.com. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 2, welcome to your reading. So we have 2 separate piles for you. Over here we have men's judgments of you, and over here we have women's judgments of you. So let's get into both of them. Over here with the men's card, we have 2 of Cups, the Hermit, the Lady, aka the Empress, and the Prince of Wands, aka the Knight of Wands. Over here for women's judgments of you, we have the Tower, the High Priestess, the Six of Wands, and the Chariot. So for how women or how men are viewing you, starting off, we have the 2 of Cups over the Empress. So a lot of men may fall in love with you quite easily. They may find you very physically beautiful. Literally, the Empress card has the symbol of Venus on it, and it's very emblematic of very seductive feminine energy and a woman who's very much in her feminine power. So there may be a lot of men who are very drawn to you and would love to date you and might think of you as like an ideal partner. They may also see you as very loyal as well, because we have the Hermit card coming out. So they may not see you as the kind of girl that, even if you're very attractive, they may not see you as the kind of woman that would be out flirting with lots of other people or out at the nightclubs every night. They may see you as a bit of a homebody or someone who is more loyal at the very least. Even if you're going out, you might, not want to talk to anyone. If you have a boyfriend, you're not going to be flirting. You're not going to be like trying to get to know other people. So I feel like there is this consideration of you as almost being a little quiet or shy or just not trying to be the center of attention. And that maybe you have a lot of people who are interested in you and want to date you, but you're not going to be like seeking out that attention from others. So I feel like a lot of guys may see you as an ideal partner for that reason. And with the 2 of Cups, again, they might really want to be in a relationship with you. They may think of you as someone that they could settle down with, or like wifey material. I feel like you have a very gentle, soft side to you, and you're very loyal to the people you love. That's just something I'm energetically picking up on. So men also may see you as someone, I'm hearing like one of the guys. I feel like there's something about your energy that like you would be cool like watching a football game or watching like a slapstick comedy with your man, or maybe you're the kind of girl that a lot of guys really feel comfortable with, feel like they can really open up to, and you're very loving and nurturing in the context of a relationship. With the Prince of Wands as well, you could be really funny, witty, and just someone who always has something new and exciting to say. They may see you as very popular, even as someone who has a lot of friends or a lot of people who like them. They might see you as someone who's very in demand, but I also feel like they recognize that you have that self-control. They're not necessarily afraid that even if you went out and you have a ton of friends and a ton of people trying to talk to you, that you would go ahead and like cheat or do something you would regret in the context of your relationship. So maybe this is why so many guys really see this as like a long-term potential type of girl. Over here for how the girls perceive you, we have the Tower, the High Priestess, Six of Wands, and the Chariot. There may be girls who look up to you and see you as having quite a cool social media presence with the Six of Wands. I do feel like there are some women who are intimidated by you, not because you're mean or anything. I actually feel like a lot of you guys can be quite bubbly, friendly, nice, but they might just assume like, oh, she's probably really popular. She probably never talks to someone like me. Anyone who's feeling insecure, anyone who's feeling like they're a little bit of a loser may see themselves as someone you wouldn't hang out with. I almost feel like there is this projection that you're always doing things, that you're booked and busy, that you have a lot going on, and that even though you might be very warm and friendly and open, that you're probably already have got like your friend group set, or you already have a lot of like your calendar full, you know, like you're not necessarily open and desperate and trying to attain a bunch of new friends. So I feel like even though people may like you and really get along with you, they also may hesitate to like invite you out or invite you to do things because they might assume that you would reject them. They might also assume that you're in a relationship and that could keep you very busy or keep you very occupied. I feel like there is this awareness again that you have your schedule already set and you don't have necessarily a lot of room in that. They also may perceive you as very ambitious and very much someone who's going to achieve a lot, accomplish a lot, do a lot of things in life. Maybe as someone who, like if you were in college, you would have that top of the line internship and then you would turn that into a good job afterwards. I feel like they see you as someone who's really smart and makes a very good impression, but I also feel like a lot of these girls do like you. I'm not necessarily picking up on hostility or anger towards you. I feel like a lot of times people in general have a good reaction to you. I'm getting, maybe some of you guys have prominent like Jupiter in your chart, Jupiter aspect in the ascendant or in the first house. But it feels like people sometimes give you the benefit of the doubt and just think of you as someone who's like fun, easy to get along with, and someone that they like to be around. I feel like a lot of women see you as someone that would make a good friend, but there's also this kind of mystery about you and kind of this idea that you probably have this whole life outside of whatever you're doing. Like if you're at school, they may see you as one of those girls that even though she's kind of private and doesn't talk a lot in school, she has a boyfriend, she's in a committed relationship, she spends most of her time with him. Or if you're at work, that, you know, you might be like, bye everyone, have a great day. And while everyone else is going to happy hour, you're going to hang out with your friends. And so there's almost this elusive quality about you or people not fully knowing you, but I feel like they get a very good impression from you right off the jump and see you as someone also who's very supportive, very friendly, pretty nice, very cordial, and like you're very warm and open, but you're not necessarily genuinely looking for that connection or genuinely looking to make best friends. It feels like you're kind of self-protective or there's a little bit of a wall up at times with other people. But yeah, I feel like honestly the vibe I'm getting so far is pretty positive. Let's get into some more tarot though and see what other perceptions there are. So how are men perceiving pile number 2? What are their judgments toward pile number 2, Spirit? So we got the Wheel of Fortune. That's so funny because it's literally connected with Jupiter and Sagittarius. And like I mentioned, I'm picking up on heavy Jupiter for you guys, Sagittarius energy, that kind of friendly, positive, very open, warm, optimistic energy that Jupiter really exudes that people love to be around. So we got the Wheel of Fortune. We got the Two of Cups coming through again. Wow, this is a very strong energy for you. Definitely wifey material. The Death card, and let's get one more. We got the Eight of Cups. And over here for how women view you, we got the Judgment card. There may be that vibe that sometimes women get afraid of you judging them. I feel like for a lot of you guys, there is this idea, some people may think you're stuck up, or some people, depending on their projections or how they're feeling, like if they are really insecure because they feel like they have no friends, they just assume that you're like bubbly, outgoing, you have all these friends, whether that's true or not. It's almost giving like cheerleader vibes. And you know, a lot of people have those weird reactions to the cheerleader. Like they might resent the cheerleader, they might be in love with the cheerleader, they may hate the cheerleader, but it's like this almost like projection that determines how cool you are with your self-esteem. Because if maybe you feel really like a weirdo and like no one likes you, someone who exudes a cheerleader positivity and they just seem like they're friends with everyone might really rub you the wrong way. But if you're looking for a friend or you feel confident, you might really enjoy that person's company. So we got the Judgment card, the Ten of Wands. How do people perceive? How do women? What are their judgments of pile number 2? So we got the Four of Wands. Yep. Very fun. And the Seven of Wands as well. So women may also perceive you as like someone who does a lot. There may be a perception of how you personally groom yourself, take care of yourself, the clothes you wear, that kind of a thing, as like very perfect or very put together. Or people may also project on you, like make comments about like, how long did it take you to do your hair? Oh my God, girl, that makeup looks so good, but it must have taken you like an hour. Or, oh wow, like I love that outfit, but you must have really like you must have searched high and low for those clothes or something. Like there's a vibe of sometimes people projecting that in order for you to look as good as you do, that it would take a while or it takes a lot of effort or that you're a little bit high maintenance. And sometimes I think almost like people might not take you seriously as a result of that. It's almost like sometimes they might reduce you or think of you as ditzy or not that smart. And sometimes I feel like that might actually really screw them over because they might see you as like an easy target and then really like find themselves in trouble as a result of that. Like it's giving Elle Woods when she went to Harvard and everyone was like, oh, she's so dumb. And then she graduated like top of her class and everything. So I feel like sometimes there are judgments made of you where people may think, like, oh, she's so nice. She's kind of like a pushover, and I can take advantage of that. Or, oh, she's so nice. She must be really dumb. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. And I feel like sometimes you cluck things, but you're very much good at keeping that to yourself. You're very good at like smiling anyway and being like, oh, it's fine, even though you noticed it. And sometimes I feel like when you are going to fight back, it's almost giving like a Libra Mars because you would like fight back, but you're going to do it in an underhanded way. You're not going to come at them directly and be like, get the F out of here. You're going to be like, let me do this the smartest possible way and not get my hands dirty. And I feel like sometimes people screw themselves over with you, or maybe just let like karma take care of things. But I feel like there are people that have like really mistaken your kindness for weakness and thought that you were just going to be this like completely pushover, easy target, and like you're the one they're going to throw under the bus if they can, and then that ends up screwing them over. Because I also feel like a lot of you guys have really good karma attached to you because you are a genuinely nice person, you are genuinely kind. So even though they might think they're winning by screwing you over, it often boomerangs back on them. But that's just a side note. Over here for how the guys perceive you, again, we got the Two of Cups twice. So clearly a lot of men really have big crushes on you, see you as like a girlfriend material, wifey material. They may fantasize about being with you, but not just in a like sexual way, but in a way of like, oh, I'd love to lay next to her on the pillow and have pillow talk, or I'd love to take her out to a restaurant and have everyone in the restaurant turn and look at us as we enter in. Like I feel like there's a lot of pride that people perceive with you. And also because I feel like you guys are so friendly to everyone, like you're very friendly, very outgoing, very talkative, that sometimes that could like send mixed signals. And there is a vibe of sometimes someone thinking that like you're more into them or more open than you really are. I also feel like you're perceived as like a good girl, I guess, or a good person, and also as someone who is very like polished and put together, and kind of like, I want to say like a perfect 10 or something like that. Like I said, like the head cheerleader, or someone who is very like polished and well taken care of, and their hair looks good and they smell good. People might just assume like you might have a super messy bedroom or a super messy apartment, but people might assume, oh wow, like she always smells great, she always looks great, I bet her room is so neat and tidy. And then if they actually come over to visit, they might be like, oh my God, what the heck, why is there stuff all over the floor? Because I feel like there's just this Miss Perfect vibe around you. And again, depending on someone's ego, whether they are super egoistic, they might be threatened by that. That's why I always thought it was so funny that like, oh, Miss Perfect is used as an insult. I'm like, what a compliment, what a flex. Jeez, someone said I was Miss Perfect, I'd be so flattered. But anyway, that's just a little tangent. I do feel like a lot of guys see you as like a good girl. Like even if they get more annoyed with other women or may think negative things about women in general, they might really like you. And that could sometimes be a little bit of a problem because you might find that like creepy guys or guys that are not the best quality feel more comfortable talking to you because you're more warm and open and you're sweet and kind. And so they might sometimes think, oh, like, oh, she likes me back, and they never get any attention. So it's something just to be aware of, is like, you of course always have the right to protect yourself, put up boundaries, say no. And I feel like sometimes that could be an annoyance for you. Like, you're like, yeah, I was nice to this random guy, in my class, or I was nice to this random guy at my workplace, and now he like texts me a lot. I don't know what to say. It's really awkward. Those kinds of situations may have happened to you a lot in your life. I also feel like it is because you're so pretty. Like, a lot of you guys are just really physically very cute, very attractive. And you also seem like just a great partner. Like, you seem like you would be very sweet, supportive, kind, and you would also make great impressions if someone took you out to like a party, or they were introducing you to their coworkers or whatever, that you would really know how to make that polite conversation. You would make a great impression with their boss. People may also perceive you as having been very like well taken care of your whole life, like that's your family. Travel a lot, like the Wheel of Fortune is sticking out to me with that. Of course, the connection to Jupiter and travel there. But they may perceive that you are very well traveled and you're very educated, and that your parents took care of a lot for you and life was just very easy. You kind of have that Sagittarius, like, oh, it just all works out. Or Pisces sometimes have this as well, both being ruled by Jupiter, where sometimes people may think that you've never had any hardship, or you've never been through anything hard or difficult. And they also may perceive you as someone that I feel like sometimes can be elusive, even though you are friendly. I feel like you have that quality that, like I said, booked and busy, or you're always off to something new, you're always doing something new. And that's a very Jupiter ruled characteristic. Both Pisces and Sagittarius have this in common, where they can ghost people easily. They can like just not respond to text messages, or they might, be here one week and then the next week they post from their Instagram and they're in like Bora Bora, and they don't tell anyone. But yeah, I feel like there's something about you that sometimes you just really catch people by surprise. They kind of don't know what to expect, and you always like throw them for a loop. Let me get into some more cards. I'm going to clear these away so that we can have a fresh area. So let's go with these cards. So we want to know for pile number 2, what are the judgments from men towards pile number 2? What are the judgments from men towards pile number 2? We got Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. Again, with Dust Devil, what's coming to my mind again is just that busyness. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of like the Tasmanian Devil from the cartoons, but I just feel like there's a lot of speed and energy around you. There's a lot of like, oh, I have this interest and that interest. And maybe you're the kind of person that like, you go to the gym, then you go home and you write a little as a hobby, and then you like go hang out with your friend, and then you're, and then you're calling your mom to chat, and you're also baking cupcakes at the same time. But it feels like you just always have stuff going on, or you'd like to be busy, or you're perceived as someone who's busy, and you're perceived as someone to a certain extent who's very hard to get a hold of. Like, you have a million hobbies, you have a million things going on, you have a million friends to talk to, and you're very unpredictable. Like I said, one minute you're there in town, and the next minute you're posting from Bora Bora or from across the country, or you went on a weekend road trip or something like that. There's something very fun about you. It is giving that Sagittarius fun energy, where they can just be a blast to be around, and they can just be the life of the party and always have something new and exciting going on, and loving to throw people for a loop, loving to surprise people. I always think of Sagittarius energy with the song Bejeweled by Taylor Swift, who is a Sagittarius sun, where it's just like this fun, exciting, I'm going to show you what you're missing kind of. It's like slightly feisty, but also just very exciting to see. And I feel like you give off that vibe for sure. You seem like when you go to a party too, like you're going to be the life of the party. You're going to have something to say. You're going to have jokes. You're going to have fun stories. And I think people really just enjoy being around you. Let's get some more cards for you. Pile number 2. Oh my gosh. Garden of Venus. Okay, these guys just keep talking about how cute you are, your appearance, your beauty. You are just physically very beautiful. You are physically an ideal for a lot of these guys. They just see you as gorgeous and attractive and someone they'd be so proud to have on their arm and show off to their friends. I also think like I feel like a lot of guys think of you as like cool. A lot of guys think of you as just like a cool, down, fun, like, wow, I can talk to her. Like I said, especially guys that are slightly weird or might have weird ideas of women, like they might say things like, oh, women are all so boring, or women aren't funny, or whatever BS. And then they meet you, and you are just like the life of the party. You can crack a joke, you can just roll with the punches. And it's almost like very eye-opening for some men who have very like outdated, crazy, misogynistic beliefs. They might think, wow, and that's why they might like fall in love with you, because I feel like it's almost like in their mind they're like being funny is a guy thing, or oh, like, yeah, women are just like boring to talk to, whatever. And then they see like a really hot girl and she's super funny and she's really entertaining, and they realize, oh, what was that stupid belief I had, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Of course they probably won't reflect on it like that. They'll just think, oh, pile two is the exception. But yeah, they fall in love with you, I feel like, as a result, because it's almost like they just aren't expecting it. And so that might be kind of low-key a little annoying for you at times, where you're like, I don't want these guys in love with me. I don't want these guys noticing me. Like, no thanks. But I feel like sometimes you attract guys that honestly, like, no other girl would talk to, I want to say. But it's not because like you're a loser or anything. It's because you're so nice, and other girls would just be like, no way. But you're so friendly to everyone, and maybe they're really awkward, but you are good enough at the conversation to keep the conversation rolling. So they think, oh, like I did a really good job in that conversation and it really flowed. I think pile two likes me. And I feel like there's a lot of delusion and like projection. It's also giving Pisces for that reason, because Pisces can have this happen to them. They are really sweet and nice. They are ruled by Jupiter, so they have that balance of the funness of Jupiter, the openness of Jupiter, but then the kind of hidden quality of Neptune. And people can be really delusional and project stuff onto Pisces. So I don't know. I'm just getting that really heavy Jupiter around you guys. Let's see. This could also be Jupiter in the first house. What are men's judgments of pile number one? We got Dream Thief, Refusal of the Call, and Me Talks, repairing the body, mind, spirit. So again, I feel like they also perceive you as just smelling really good, that you smell good, that you, whatever perfume you wear, or just your natural smell, or how you put yourself together, you are just seen as very well taken care of, and like you really look after yourself. I also feel like, you know, again, like I said, even if you keep your house like super messy and everything's a disaster, I feel like they're always projecting that like, oh, I bet they have the nicest apartment. They just seem so neat and tidy and organized, and they just seem so perfect. You just seem very perfect, well taken care of. And yeah, I feel like just physically you smell good, you look good. And that's a lot of this enchantment. A lot of these guys just notice this about you, and also notice how fun you are, that you're really exciting to be around. You know, you're someone they can kind of project their fantasies on, and because you're just nice to everyone, they can think, oh, and maybe she likes me back. Let's get some of these cards for pile two, for how do women judge pile two? What are women's judgments of pile two? So we got Jeweled Web, Connectivity, and Feast of Plenty, Choices and Their Consequences. Hollow Bone, Teachability, and Magician's Sword, Confidence in Your Magic. So again, with the women who are unconfident, sometimes maybe seeing this as a negative or getting a little bit jealous. I feel like sometimes there are women that think, oh, she's had it so easy, or like, oh, like, especially with this jealousy around guys, like, oh, guys really like her. Like, there's also because I think you're very confident. Like, I think you can hold your own at a party or a social situation or a workplace. Like, you can talk, conversate, chat with anyone. So there is this, sometimes people getting in their feelings about it. Sometimes people thinking like, oh, like, they don't deserve it, or they just had it handed to them, or I bet they never have faced any kind of trauma. They're always smiling. They probably have this really easy life. I feel like also women do assume you have a lot of friends. We got jeweled web connectivity. So I feel like there's this perception that you just have a big friend group. You have lots of people to choose from. You have lots of people to be around. And if someone was like bullied or something, they might, and they haven't worked through that trauma. And it is a trauma. I don't mean to make light of it, but like they might project on you like, oh, she's like a bully. And that could be, probably is the furthest thing from the truth. And you might have even been bullied at times, but I feel like they sometimes, yeah, make that projection of like, oh, she probably had it so easy, or everything came to her, or whatever. And I feel like sometimes, yeah, there's a lot of negative intentions attributed to you because of that. Also, that you just seem kind of inaccessible. Like people, women, I think, we're a little smarter socially than some men can be. And so they might realize that, like, oh, yeah, she's being friendly to me, but she's probably friendly to everyone. And so it might, in women's case, work in your disadvantage where they're like, oh, she's smiling at everyone. Yeah, she doesn't really like me. Even if you're like, no, I really liked you and I'd love to hang out. They might think, oh, she's doing that to everyone. Like, she'll never actually want to go to like my barbecue on Sunday afternoon, so I'm not going to ask. Let's get some of these cards for you. Pile number 2. What are men's judgments of pile number 2? Spark. So funny. I do feel like a lot of guys feel a spark with you, or think you feel a spark with them, and they just project. Rescue, slow and steady. And details. And for women, how do women judge pile 2? Okay, we got dry desert, golden palace, again the bougie vibes, and let's see, wide open, and movement. I feel like a lot of girls also feel like you would make a good friend though, and they probably would be interested in being friends with you. They probably think, yeah, she'd be so fun to go out with. She's really great. I feel like sometimes women are, they like you, but they're also intimidated. And so they might not ask you like to hang out or anything because, again, this projection that like, yeah, she probably has a million friends and I don't want to ask. She'd probably think it's awkward. Also, I feel like a lot of girls think you have a really cool sense of style and think you like put yourself together very well. You look really good. It's almost giving me like, I think she's on TikTok. I don't really follow her a lot or watch her stuff, but Alex Earl, like a vibe like that kind of comes to mind, where I feel like a lot of girls think she dresses really well and are interested in her and like her personality, like, but they probably would be intimidated by her in person or see her as like really cool, but it's kind of like she might trigger some insecurity if they had to actually deal with her in person, even though she seems perfectly friendly. Like, I feel like you give off a little bit of that vibe. Back to the guys, we got spark, rescue. I do feel like, again, you do attract some guys that maybe like don't have their lives together and see you almost as like someone they could use, because I feel like they perceive you as someone with high social status, someone who is very well liked, very well regarded, and would make a great impression to their friends, to their family, to their work coworkers, because you're the kind of person that I feel like you smooth over any social interactions. You're good socially. People like you. People enjoy you. And so it's like if someone's feeling insecure about themselves or they didn't really build their own reputation, they might try to co-opt your reputation or be like, ooh, this would be great. This would be very useful. So it's something just to be aware of, is that sometimes you might attract like user guys. I feel like a lot of guys do like you, but you might be aware for that with some of those guys who come on the strongest. Like, do they have their own thing going on, or are they trying to kind of like coast off me? Not that there's sometimes, people serve different roles in relationships, but I feel like you guys are just great, perfect tens and so well liked. People love you. You're kind of a girl's girl and a guy's guy at the same time. It's just very, very positive. And I think so many people think of you as like a great friend or someone they can look up to or someone they're very attracted to. But overall, it's very, very positive. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I really hope it resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my readings, be sure to check out my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about what is your past life karmic soul connection with this person. Before that, I posted one all about what people have realized about you. But there are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for my Patreon. You also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So if that sounds good to you and you're interested in signing up, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description and join me on Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. Whether you want me to do astrology for you, channel for you, read, what's the other option? Read your tarot, of course. That's what I do on here. I'm a tarot reader. Do a combination of all 3, whether you want me to do a live session, one-on-one with you, or a pre-recorded reading. You can really customize your reading so it's the perfect session for you, and we get into exactly what you want to talk about. If that sounds good to you and you're interested in booking, head to the link in my description for briarrosetarot.com. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your readings. So we have 2 separate piles for you. Over here we have men's judgments of you, and over here we have women's judgments of you. So let's start out reading your tarot. For the men's section, we got the 9 of Swords, the Death card, the Princess of Cups, aka the Page of Cups, and the Fool. And over here for the women's section, we have the 3 of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Moon, and the 8 of Pentacles. So how do men view you? I feel like, first of all, there's something kind of mystical, magical, dreamy, elusive about you guys. And men may be very intimidated by this. There may be also something slightly, I want to say, like depressive about you, or kind of, I don't know, poetic and dreamy, but in like a sad way, in a tragic way. We got the 9 of Swords leading off, and that shows someone like late at night worrying about something. So men may even perceive you as like high stress, but I don't think it's like a bad thing. I think it's like, wow, she just seems very deep, and she seems like she has a lot of emotions. And this may even provoke like a protective instinct in some men, where they want to be the one to make you happy, or they see you as someone who's actually very emotional and vulnerable and isn't like very closed off, or isn't this super tough like bad bee that doesn't need anyone. You have a vulnerability about you that I feel like actually can be very invigorating to men. But also I think some men could be intimidated by this vibe, because I think you could seem like you might be a little standoffish at first, or because you have a lot of emotions, that there's this like defensiveness you have in order to protect yourself. But I feel like guys can tell that, you know, deep down inside there are these emotions, and you almost give off a very feminine, intuitive, psychic vibe. You have a little bit of a witchy quality to you. We did get the Princess of Cups, which connects with the Page of Cups, and of course in the cup suit that represents psychic intuition, emotions, feelings, creativity. So I feel like you do come off like a very creative person. You may seem like someone that men may assume like has a hobby of painting or writing poetry or writing music. You may also seem like you dress in a way that really expresses yourself, or is very different from the normal or the usual. Like when everyone else is sitting around maybe talking about football or something like that, or talking about whatever office gossip, you may be the kind of person that they can tell your head is in the clouds, you have something creative on your mind, or you're picking up on things very deeply. And I feel like sometimes this could intimidate some men, because they may be afraid of being on the receiving end of your judgments, of the way you could see through them. Some of you guys might have a psychic placement connected with your ascendant. So you might have like the moon aspecting your ascendant, or Neptune, or Pluto. But I feel like you strongly, or maybe just a lot of water in your charts, maybe the water house is activated, like the fourth house, the eighth house, the 12th house. But I do feel like you guys give off a very highly intuitive vibe and something kind of psychic and unsettling. I'm hearing especially your eyes, like the way you look at someone. There's just a lot of depth to your eyes and almost like a liquid quality to your eyes, like something slightly wet and deep about your eyes. And I feel like it can be a very piercing gaze when you want it to be. Like when you want to really look at someone intensely, they can feel the weight of that and they may even be intimidated, like, oh my gosh, I know like pile number 3, it just feels like they can read me like a book. Like it feels like they can read into my soul. I also feel like there's something that seems very adventurous about you. We did get the Fool card. And so you might be someone that, like, if someone wants to go on a road trip, like you're down, you're open. You may have traveled a lot, explored a lot. You may know a lot of random information about a lot of different random things. I feel like you're the kind of person who's just very intellectually curious and is always learning and is always like putting yourself out there to acquire more knowledge or to try something new, try something different. I'm getting the vibe that some of you guys, not everyone, but might have some tattoos or some visible markings to show like your history or things you've learned. I feel like people can tell that you really have a very active mind. Men can tell that like you really are a deep thinker and that you're kind of like complicated. You know, you're not just like a very easy to figure out, easygoing, just like, oh, I'll just ask them out for a regular old date, going to the local, you know, cheeseburger shop or something. Like they might worry that like, oh, are you vegan? Or like think that, you know, if they tried to take you to any regular schmegular place that you'd be like totally bored and think it's lame. So they might be like, hey, do you want to go to the poetry reading? I go to poetry readings all the time. Would you want to go see this like indie local band? Like, yeah, I'm really into them. And they just got into it for the purposes of talking to you. And there may be that expectation about you as well, that like you wouldn't be interested in seeing or in any kind of like regular like discussion of pop culture or whatever. If someone asked you your favorite movie, you wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, this comedy, it was really great. But like it's always going to be something dark or something really like obscure, like some 70s Swedish film or something like that. So as far as how women view you, let's get into these cards. We got the Three of Swords, Queen of Wands, the Moon, the Eight of Pentacles. I feel like women are definitely a little intimidated by you and they see a lot of power coming from you with that Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is highly intimidating. Another thing about the Queen of Wands is she's definitely the most sexual of the Queen cards. She actually has her legs depicted as being open. She's sitting with her legs open. Not necessarily something crazy, but you can see in this card as well, like her legs are not closed, they're open, and so there's sexual symbolism there. And so women may be sexually a little intimidated by you, I'm not gonna lie. There may even be this perception that you've had a lot of partners or that you're very kind of like sexually powerful and like experienced. And some women may really not like that. Like they may perceive you as like, oh, she's not a girl's girl, she's a guy's guy. And like, oh yeah, of course she's so sexy. Like it almost gives me like Angelina Jolie vibes, how she still to this day, I think like Jennifer Aniston is a lot more popular with like kind of the middle-aged mom demographic, and like a lot of people still hate Angelina because they're like, she stole Brad from, and it's like, wait, but no one hates him, but they hate Angelina. But I think a lot of that probably has to do not, and people will bring this up like, oh, but she wore vials of blood in the 90s with her first husband, and she, you know, had this dark hair and this really pale skin, and there's something kind of like shocking about it. And there is this perception of her as this femme fatale, as like she can steal your man. And I think some of it is that's what it comes down to. You see something kind of similar with like Megan Fox. Like sometimes some women will just be like so harsh about, you know, someone like Megan Fox. And I think it's because there is this fear that like she could grab up your man, snatch him in a moment. And unlike someone who may be very beautiful, but they seem kind of angelic and like they're not going to even try to get with your man, like maybe a Margot Robbie or someone like that, that just gives off like sweet girl vibes, sweet girl next door vibes. Like Megan Fox seems like if she wanted to, she could, you know, and she would, like if she wanted to. She has that kind of like I don't know, Mars energy that like, yeah, I am a little selfish and I'm going to take what I want. That I think on one hand is very invigorating and gives that sex appeal, but on the other hand can be intimidating and can make some women react very strongly and really dislike it and think that, you know, she's bad news, or think any kind of negative things about she's evil and she's morally wrong and all this stuff. I feel like there are women that think of you as honestly someone they wouldn't be friends with. Not every woman, but this is the first energy that's coming through. Is like, I feel like a lot of women, when they meet you, they might be like, definitely not. And it almost feels like maybe you've had a lot of judgment like that in the past of your life. Like you've had people who have just not liked you right off the bat, and it's almost made you more like resolute about that, more tough, more standoffish. And I feel like for that reason, um, sometimes you like lean into it. Like you're like, you don't like me? Cool. I don't like you either. And so it can kind of be like that self-fulfilling prophecy. The more they try to hate you, the more you're like, maybe I will flirt with your boyfriend then. You know what I mean? Or, well, okay, then I could be mean back, you know? But yeah, I feel like there's this perception of you as you are intimidating and you're not going to take any prisoners. And even like, I feel like you're the kind of person that, say you had a problem with like, you know, an order at a coffee shop, like someone made you coffee and you ordered it without sugar and then you tasted it, it's super sweet, and you have to go up and be like, oh, excuse me, like, sorry, this, I think this has sugar in it and I just asked for no sugar. And instead of it being like a normal interaction that they're like, oh yeah, you might have people's heads turning like, oh, is she gonna scream at the barista? Like almost like bracing themselves or getting ready to say something back to you like, excuse me, but it's fine that she made, and you might be like, I'm just trying to ask nicely. But I almost feel like when you start opening your mouth or anything you do, it puts people on edge. It makes people scared because they sense your power and because they sense this potential in you, that it really freaks them out. Even if it's the most simple thing you're doing, even if you have no bad intentions, even if you're just, you know, doing what everyone else would do in that situation, it's almost like someone else could do it and people would be like, oh yeah, of course, of course. But when you do it, it's like, oh, well, okay, I guess we can remake it. Or people turning to look and watch and see like, is she going to argue? And I feel like sometimes that can make things difficult for you because sometimes it's like just a lot of pressure and you're like, why are you on my back? Like, let me just ask to have it remade the same way everyone else does. I didn't mess this up. But it's like people, because they're so intimidated by you, it's almost like if you see a really muscular guy walk into like a bar and you might think, oh my God, I better watch him. He's going to get in a fight. He's going to beat someone up, even though he might be the nicest person there. Let's get into some of these cards for pile number 3. We want to know, what are the judgments that men have towards pile number 3? So we got the 4 of Cups. We got the 6 of Cups. Look how many cups we're getting. Again, with that highly psychic vibe, which, by the way, also women pick up on. I didn't mention it, but we got the Moon card. So yeah, this psychic vibe you give off is very, very strong. The Ace of Swords. And the 8 of Wands, okay? And for women, what are women's judgments towards pile 3 of Cups? That's freaking funny. I'm telling you, you guys, you have a lot of these women shook. The Ace of Wands, the 3 of, oh, the Empress again, or no, that's the first time we're getting the Empress, and the Page of Wands. Look at, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like the women's perception of you, there's so many sexual cards. There's just so much like cheating energy about your appearance, about you being attractive. Like really, these women are absolutely shook by you. We have the 3 of Cups. The 3 of Cups is a card of cheating. It can be a cheating card. So a lot of women may not trust their man around you, and you might wonder, why is this like random girl at my office so freaking weird to me? Why is she being rude to me? Whatever. And maybe when like her boyfriend comes in to visit at work, she's like all over him, she's clutching him, she's like holding onto his arm. And I feel like a lot of that is because it's like, I'm hearing that phrase, if he wanted to, he would, but it's almost like with you, like if she wanted to, she could. Like if she wanted to steal your man, she could. Like it's just a matter of like, is she gonna do it? It reminds me of that song like Jolene by Dolly Parton, where she says like, I'm begging you, please don't steal my man. And she's just like basically gassing up Jolene in the whole song, talking about how beautiful she is, talking about, you know, your emerald eyes are so gorgeous. And so I know you can take him, and just I'm just asking you, please leave him alone. I feel like there is this heavy intimidation that women have towards you, and you just almost have like a dark feminine energy. Like you have a sexuality you exude, you have a very powerful magnetism you give off, and you also seem like you don't like I don't know if it's because maybe throughout your life you faced some people not liking you or people being rude to you or people bullying you or whatever, but I feel like you just don't care as much. Like it's like with Angelina Jolie. I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously I'm not her. I don't. It would be really wild if I was her running a freaking YouTube channel, right? Like that's who I actually am behind the scenes. But anyway, I'm not her, so I don't know. But I would assume, like, it seems like she doesn't care as much, like, about the perception of her. It doesn't seem like she wants to be America's sweetheart, or she sweats it when, like, she gets bad press as much as certain other celebrities that seem so desperate to be liked. And probably it's because, you know, she faced that since she was younger. So if someone says, oh, she's a homewrecker, it's not going to bother her the same way it might bother, like, a Jen Aniston or a, you know, like I don't know, a Kelly Clarkson or someone that just always had a good PR. They might be really upset. Like, how could you say this about me? And it seems like Angelina just doesn't care. And I feel like that's your vibe and that's your power as well. Like you just seem like if someone wants to be mean to you, be rude to you, you're not going to let it get under your skin. You're not going to be sad. You're not going to be crying. And you're just going to keep doing your thing. And I think that almost makes it worse for some of these women, because it's like sometimes maybe they could get together and like bully someone and shame them into like acting right. But for you, it's like, no, I'm going to do what I want and I don't care what you think. Back to the guys, we got the Four of Cups, Six of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Eight of Wands. So there are some guys that I feel like they may even have like a weird power desire to either dominate you or for you to dominate them. The Six of Cups is just reminding me of that. It's like the Six of Cups literally shows children. And it can be in a relationship when you're reminiscing on a past relationship. It can literally represent children as well in a tarot reading. But I feel like what's coming through with that is almost like, you know, when someone says, you make me feel like I'm young again, or like that song, So High School by Taylor Swift, which I love. It's from her last album. I think it's such a good song. And she says, I feel so high school every time I look at you. And it's like when someone makes you giddy, and it's like that phrase, like kicking their feet, like when you make a guy feel like kicking his feet because he's just like, oh, I like this girl so much. I feel like sometimes you kind of could emasculate men, or they really want to like take your power away. And sometimes it might be frustrating for you. Like you're like, I'm not even trying to do this. I'm not trying to take your power away. But I feel like because you give off such an intimidating vibe that sometimes it makes guys kind of feel like they have to fight you or be combative with you. We also got the Eight of Wands. Yeah, they might feel like they kind of have to like challenge you. And so you might also run into like weird situations at work with like guys who are weirdly hostile to you, guys who like want to beef with you over nothing. And you're like, well, what the F is your problem? Like, calm down. But I feel like part of it is like also guys, you do represent that kind of like dark feminine. And so if a guy is only comfortable with a woman who holds her feminine energy back or holds her feminine power away or doesn't embrace the dark feminine, then, you know, he'd probably, if he's only okay with girls who don't have that feminine dark power and are only in their light feminine energy, then he is going to have a major problem with you. And as we've seen throughout history, something about the dark feminine really triggers a lot of men, right? Cue like the witch burnings and lots of attempts to restrict women's power, women's sexuality, etc., etc. So I feel like for you, there's something about you that you just seem like you won't tolerate the BS, and you seem like very independent minded. You seem like someone that even when you're in a relationship, you're not going to be easy to control or dominate. You're not going to lose your autonomy. You're always going to keep some level of power for yourself. And you're very smart and you're very hard to win over in a way. So again, like for a guy who's very confident you know, like it makes sense that like not to obsess over Angelina, but I feel like, you know, it makes sense that she ended up with like Brad freaking Pitt, because what other guy would feel comfortable with Angelina Jolie than like someone who's as attractive as Brad Pitt? It almost like has to be him, because, you know, and he probably also was like, sweet, I get to be with Angelina Jolie, because probably every other girl is slightly easy for him, but she's a challenge, you know, and she's always smart and she's intellectual and she doesn't lose that side of herself. I feel like there's something about you though that like some men get very addicted to. Like if you start dealing with someone, dating them, hooking up with them, in a relationship with them, just talking or even flirting with them, I feel like there are guys that get like low-key addicted and would like stalk you and would like just become obsessed with you, you know, like they would just not be able to get enough of your energy and would be very like almost possessive of you at times when you're like, we're not even dating or we're not even together. Like, what the heck? You don't get to like ask me where I was like on Tuesday night. Like, it's none of your business. But I feel like sometimes you bring that out in guys where they may also feel like they find themselves opening up to you a lot more, or they feel like you guys have a spiritual connection, and maybe you don't feel that way. Maybe you don't reciprocate as much. I feel like there are a lot of guys that project fantasies, and you might also attract guys that like think about leaving their wives, maybe are looking to have an affair or something like that. Again, it's almost giving like bad girl energy, you know, like someone that, yeah, especially if it's someone's led a repressed life, they might really see you and be like, wow, she probably could like rock my world. Even if you're like, no, I'm not that way. Like, this is a projection. But yeah, I also feel like they see you as very creative with the Four of Cups, with the Six of Cups, also the Ace of Swords. There's something intellectual about you. There's something very smart, very sharp about you. Again, not to obsess. I heard someone say you ADHD hyperfocus, which is probably true. But anyway, like back to the Angelina metaphor, but she also balanced her like her sexuality or her image and her acting and everything with being like a UN ambassador. She was the first one who started with that and shedding light on like, you know, things that were happening in, I think, Cambodia. She's very connected to Cambodia. And so she's not just, you know, kind of, she was the first one who pioneered this like intellectual side of like the actresses that usually before her they were just kind of bubbly, happy, like girl next door type. And she was like Meg Ryan or whatever, who like, wow, she seems so fun. And then Angelina was the first movie star in the modern era to kind of like make you think, oh, she seems really smart and she's kind of intimidating, and that's kind of sexy, even though she's like intellectualism we don't think of as sexy, but there's something sexy about it. And again, I feel like you give off that vibe, like very smart, very intelligent, very sharp, and good at reading people as well. So let me clear these cards, and I'm gonna pull from some new decks. For pile number 3, we want to know what are men's judgments of pile number 3. Come together. Okay. Talisman, Metamorphosis, and Magic Prayer. And over here for how the women, what are women's judgments for pile number 3? Heal the Ouch, okay. Magical Map Shifter, ooh, Goblins, and one more. Rescue. Okay. So, again, with the guys, a lot of them could see themselves or would want to be in a relationship with you. I also feel like for guys that are very like family values and have a very traditionalist view of women, they may react very negatively to you. They may be very combative. You might get questions about like, well, you know, are you married? Or if you're not married, why aren't you married? Or, you know, are you submissive to your husband? Or crazy questions, like out-of-pocket questions. I feel like that you might trigger those questions because you still seem so in your own power and very strong-willed as well. So men who want like a strong-willed partner, men who really want that power partner and to be a part of a power couple, I feel like would really like you. But I feel like guys that don't want that would be very maybe frightened or stressed out by you. I also feel like you seem like one thing guys might clock about you when they meet you is like you seem like you would be really feisty or intense during arguments. Like you would not suffer fools. You wouldn't accept bad behavior or like swallow your tongue when it came to someone acting crazy. Like I feel like you would voice your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, and you would speak up and like call it out if someone was acting badly. So I feel like men clock that about you. Like they think, this would not be the easiest person to date. Like this would not be the easiest person to cheat on. This would not be the easiest person to like treat badly. Like if I treat them badly, they're definitely gonna leave. They're definitely gonna bounce. So again, sometimes too, that can attract guys who, because they know that, they might try to play toxic mind games because they're like, oh, I need to lower this woman's self-esteem because she seems so powerful. So you might find when you do get with a guy, immediately the craziness begins or immediately the bad behavior starts. And it's because they sense your power and they don't want you to leave. And they're like, I got to find a way to get her a little bit out of her power so that she will tolerate me. For the girls, how the girls are perceiving you. I also feel like, by the way, with this metamorphosis card, there may be guys who perceive you as really capable of transforming them. Like I'm hearing that line, like you could be good for me, or you could be so good for me, or someone like you could really be good for me. So I feel like it's like there are guys that want you to, you know, it reminds me too of that. There's like a Ryan Adams song. And by the way, speaking of men who turn out to be trash and like play mind games with women, Ryan Adams, and he wrote the song where he was like, come screw me up, come sleep with all my friends, like treat me like dirt. I don't know, sometimes there's guys that have a thing for that, like, and sometimes they're kind of toxic, but they might not be looking for that genuine relationship. They may see you as like this powerful, and again, kind of low-key want to be dominated by it. But it could attract guys who just want you to, you have a very Plutonian quality. So they may perceive you as like someone like you, like you're the kind of woman that could make a boy into a man kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Like that would make someone who's immature, clown-like, and like whip them into shape and get them to act right because you're that powerful and you have a heavy Plutonian transformative Saturnian quality about you. You know what I mean? Okay. For how the girls view you. Heal the Ouch, Magical Map Shifter, Goblins. Again, with the jealousy here. I also feel like there may be women who talk about you in terms of like, oh, she's damaged, or oh, she's, you know, she's been through so much, or I can tell she has issues. And they might really try to like dull your shine by talking about you in a negative way in terms of like, oh, well, she's really screwed up. Again, not to obsess. Everyone always says, oh, you always do this, but whatever, I can't help it. And I think it's a good metaphor to keep, you know, a lot of these people are emblematic of a certain energy. But with Angelina, how, you know, when people are bashing her in the media or whatever, a lot of times they will talk about like, well, she's so screwed up, or she has issues because her dad left, or she doesn't trust men because blah, blah, blah. And there's like this discussion, which is like, even if that's true, why would you use that against her? Like, okay. So she was traumatized by like bad behavior. It's kind of like how the phrase daddy issues. Hey guys, so annoying, but my camera actually cut out. I was out of storage and I didn't even notice. I pulled more cards and was continuing to channel anyway. So to finish what I had been saying, basically, you know, sometimes someone will use that as ammunition to make fun of someone they're intimidated by. Instead of blaming the actual perpetrator, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, she's a victim of this, so she's crazy or whatever. And I feel like sometimes there may be discussions of that, or people trying to invalidate your power and take that away from you and make you seem like, you know, you have all these issues, whatever. And yeah, it's like a way to try to take you down a few pegs is what I'm getting. So let's get into the other cards I pulled since my lovely camera had to cut out right in the middle of it. So we got for the men's perception of you, hollow bone, teachability, many masks, the authentic self, watchers, transpersonal, and the first breath, beginner's mind. Again, there is this vibe that like some of these guys want to be like taught by you, molded by you. I feel like some of you guys might even attract kind of like nerdy or dorky guys or unconfident guys, and counterintuitively, they may really come up and approach you because I feel like there's also this perception of you as having dated like really cool or bad guys. Try not to curse on YouTube, but like dating bad boys, or like that you have all this life experience, or that you only really hang out with guys that are like extremely cool and rebels and all that jazz. So I feel like sometimes guys who may not be that way and may not be as confident, they might actually really want to date you because they almost want that energy to rub off on them. And they think that by dating you, they can kind of become that person, or you are status or proof of how cool they are, because you usually only hang out with like, they might picture you as the type that you would date like, you know, leather clad biker dudes, or like you would date like MMA fighter types. And so if they can be the one to get you, and they're like an accountant wearing their suit to work every day, then like they're pretty cool too. So I feel like there's sometimes this like vibe where you might sometimes be like, okay, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but why am I always getting like the dorkiest or nerdiest guys? You might get like a variety of different kinds of guys though. You might, again, like still get that attention from like the dudes that are really cool, but you might also get guys that really want to learn from you. I'm hearing stuff like, someone like you would be really good for me. So it's like sometimes I think there's these guys that just want to learn from you. They just want you to transform them. They really want you to put your stamp on them. And you might find even after you've dated some guys that they start copying your aesthetic, copying your style. Like suddenly you go to like your favorite band's page and you were the one who introduced this guy to your band, to your favorite band, and suddenly he's liking every photo of them, and he's like following them, and he's like posting on his stories about going to their concerts, and you're like, you didn't even know about them like 3 months ago, what the heck, you know? But I feel like because they perceive you as very cool and having a cool aesthetic and whatnot, it makes them want to step up to that. It makes them want to like kind of become that themselves. As far as how women perceive you, we got straddling worlds, wandering between realms, deep quiet, meditation and stillness, will-o'-the-wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows, and magician's sword, confidence in your magic. I feel like sometimes after these women end up getting very triggered by you and very kind of upset by you and very like offended by you, I feel like there comes a period where maybe they get some grudging respect for you, and they might actually find that it really triggers them and that allows them to do some shadow work, and that they find themselves interrogating within themselves like, why am I so bothered by pile number 3? Why does everything they do just drive me freaking crazy? And why do I get so mad when they, you know, like speak up loudly in the conference? Or why do I roll my eyes when they kind of are talking to the male coworker? And they might find themselves thinking, you know, actually it's because I kind of wish I could be them. Like I feel like you really have this polarizing thing, and sometimes it actually does encourage people, women especially, to start stepping into their own power, and they might also copy you and start changing their aesthetic or being a little wilder. You might find that people have a really strong reaction to you, and then like 6 months down the road they're doing the exact same thing, or they were angry about something and they were like talking, you know, trash about it, and now they are doing that same exact thing, and you might sometimes be like, this is so annoying, like why would you bash me for this and make it such a big deal, and now you're copying. But I feel like, again, it's a testament to your power and this kind of triggering effect. It's almost like you're very avant-garde, very ahead of the crowd. You do things marching to the beat of your own drum, and so not everyone has that vision. And I feel like in the end of the day, you also kind of inspire people of like, you know, maybe I usually wouldn't be into that, or maybe I would be too scared to embrace that thing, whatever it is. But I find myself being more open to it because, you know what, pile number 3 gets away with it, so maybe I can be a little bit wilder myself. So overall, I feel like you have that triggering effect, very polarizing, very intense, but you might be helping people with their soul growth as a result of it. So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. If you want to see more of my readings, head to my Patreon to watch all 90 additional readings, over 90 exclusive readings you'll only find over there. I just posted one all about this soul person. What is the soul connection you have with them? What's the past life karmic connection? I also posted one all about what people have realized about you. That could be an interesting one for you, pile 3, because I do feel like it takes people a while to kind of just get over being super triggered and offended by you for some reason. But yeah, if you're interested in checking out all those additional readings, also you get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So that's another benefit. But if that sounds good to you and you're interested in checking it out, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description for my Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can get a tarot reading with me, an astrology reading, a channeling session, a combination of all 3. You can have it be live, you can have it pre-recorded. You get to really choose what kind of reading you want for yourself. So anyway, like I said, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link for that is in my description. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 4, welcome to your reading. So we have 2 separate groups we're going to read. Over here is how men judge you, and over here is how women judge you. So let's start out with the men. Your tarot is the Princess of Cups, aka the Page of Cups, the 3 of Wands, the 2 of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune. Then for how women judge you, we have the High Priestess, the 2 of Cups, Chariot, and the Prince of Wands. So I feel like men view you as very dreamy. The Page of Cups, Princess of Cups, is an extremely creative energy and often has like a million ideas going through their mind at once. So they may even seem or come off very ADHD, like they're talking about one topic and then they're talking about another, and they kind of like lose their train of thought, and maybe they're a little spacey, but it's all because they're very creative, and people can sense that about them, that it's not just like they have nothing going on in their brain, but actually it's almost like they have too much in their brain, and they're always thinking and they're always coming up with ideas. And it's a very feminine energy, the Page of Cups. It's someone who really exists in that very feminine water space, because water is a feminine energy and element, and so is like really warm, really loving, really open and receptive, and also very psychic and intuitive, and might sense and notice and be very empathic. Like if someone was having a bad day, they might pull them aside and say like, hey, is everything okay? Are you doing good? You know, if there's something kind of weird in the air, they might notice it and try to address it. They might have that kind of like mother's touch where if, you know, one of the coworkers is just acting weird, and or there's something off in the energy in a group, they might be the person to like actually address it and really be able to talk to that person, whereas maybe no one else would be able to. So they really have this very beautiful feminine warmth that they can give off, and that people can feel very drawn to them as a result, almost like they're this safe place to land. And also with the wheel is connected with Sagittarius, Jupiter energy, also Pisces energy for that reason, because of course Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter. But so very Sagittarius in particular loves to explore, loves to try new things. They always have a million ideas going through their mind. They always have a million different things they're open to or they're learning. They're a sign that loves to learn, literally connects with the 9th house of higher learning. So they often, you know, are maybe learning a language, or they're reading a new book, or they're doing research on Nepal, and they kind of always have a million hobbies. And I feel like you really give off that vibe. It's almost giving me manic pixie dream girl vibe. Like a lot of guys, I feel like they may think of you as kind of an interesting, fun challenge, you know, because I don't think you seem like the type who's sitting around at home desperately waiting for someone to text you or call you back. You seem to be a little wild in that way, like you have a lot of lived experience, maybe you've had a lot of different adventures, but at the same time, you don't seem standoffish or cold or jaded. It seems like you're still very warm, open, loving, and that you would be really a soft place to land for a lot of guys. Like if you were someone's girlfriend, you would be so sweet to them. You'd ask them about their day. You'd intuitively sense if something was off with them. You'd be able to tell if they were in a bad mood. So I feel like a lot of guys kind of have this soft place in their heart for you and really think of you as someone that they really like. They aren't just attracted to you, although I definitely think that is true. They are attracted to you. And if they're attracted to you, they see you as like more cute. Not to say that you can't also be beautiful or anything like that, but I also feel like there's something about you that's just very cute and kind of charming and sweet and very like, yeah, like almost like I feel like some guys want to protect you or want to look out for you or think of you as like such a nice person, and they don't want to see you like treated badly by anyone. You might find that you have like guys in your friend group, but they treat you like a big brother would to their little sister, you know, kind of like asking you like, how was your date? Did everything go okay? You didn't try anything? You know, I feel like sometimes you provoke or you like inspire that masculine instinct in guys, and you do seem like someone that they want to make sure that you aren't treated badly or anything like that. Sometimes you may seem like a little, I want to say, what's the word? Clumsy. Like you might be the kind who stumbles over like a step or stumbles while you're walking down the sidewalk, or like forgets your keys all the time and is kind of spacey, forgetful. The Two of Pentacles is reminding me of that because it can show someone juggling and kind of like trying to balance their life, and sometimes it can show where there's imbalance. But for you, what's coming up with me with that is almost like this, sometimes you do have trouble balancing your life, or maybe even physically balancing yourself. Like you might be prone to tripping and falling, or just like you might have that scattered energy where someone else might come into the office in the morning and they're like, hair is done, and they're like, yeah, I had time to stop by yoga and then I went and I got my morning coffee. Whereas I feel like you might come in like your hair is a little messy, your mascara is maybe smeared, and you might be like, oh my god, I was in traffic, I was running late, I didn't have time to get any coffees, I had to run to the corner deli. And I feel like though that's again something a lot of guys find very charming, and they might want to be protective of you for that reason. It almost reminds me of like Bella from Twilight, how isn't she always like tripping, or she's always like she's super clumsy, or she's always getting herself into trouble. Or like I feel like this is a really common trope in rom-coms, or even in like I was watching Spider-Man, like the one from like 2000 or whatever, and I was thinking like this guy, like Spider-Man, has to rescue Mary Jane so many times. Like it's so crazy how many times. First of all, she doesn't treat him that well. She's literally dating his bully. But anyway, I think it's such an interesting dive into like male psychology to watch that movie, because it's like the men wrote it. The men want, you know, you would think you'd be like so annoyed by the fifth time you had to risk your life to save someone. You'd probably be like, oh my god, I'm done with this. But no, like the men specifically wrote those scenes and like keep having her be like, oh my god, I need help, and they love it. Like that's, you know, that's what they want to see in these movies. So I feel like in a way they like these guys, a lot of them like the fact that maybe you seem forgetful, or you seem like you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be late for my appointment, because it's almost like they're like, oh, like she needs my help, and it makes them feel useful, I feel like, with you. So actually I feel like this is definitely working for you. Don't change the forgetfulness thing. But anyway, for how girls view you, we have the High Priestess, the Two of Cups, the Chariot, the Prince of Wands. So the High Priestess card coming out, they may definitely pick up on your psychic abilities. They may see you as a little spacey and kooky. I always think of the High Priestess energy, or sometimes when it comes through, and not the High Priestess energy itself. Now I feel bad for disrespecting the High Priestess card. But sometimes like this energy, it reminds me of like Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter, how she's like really spacey, right? And she's the professor of divination, I think. So she helps people to read the future and like scry and look into a crystal ball and whatnot. And everyone kind of like jokes about her, and they're like, oh, she's so stupid. But in typical, that's what happens to a lot of us who do this kind of work, right? But she's right, and she like makes a lot of valuable predictions. And I feel like sometimes people may give like you give off that vibe to some women. Sometimes they may see you as like a little bit yeah, spacey, I guess, but like kind of kooky or very different. I also feel like sometimes maybe you're outside the norm. Maybe when a group of girls is together and they're just talking about like guys, or they're talking about like what happened on the football game or makeup or whatever. It just seems like you kind of aren't interested in a lot of those topics. Like you're very, I don't mean to do the like, oh, not like other girls thing, but I do feel like you're kind of a very deep thinker, and sometimes it's hard for you to have conversations that just like have no interest for you. Like if someone is talking and talking about like the new eyeliner they got, and someone else is like, oh yeah, that eyeliner, it might be hard for you to like chime in. You might just be like imagining some fantasy scenario in your mind from like a book, and like writing a book in your mind and going off to a fantasy world, a different dimension in your mind, and like trancing out. It reminds me of that Lil Peep lyric that's like, what is it? Oh yeah, sitting in your cubicle while you travel through a portal or something like that. And he's a Pisces sun or Scorpio sun, Cancer moon, so very Scorpio sun, Cancer moon thing to say. Yeah, I feel like you guys might pass through portals while you're in your cubicle. Like you're there, kinda, but you're also somewhere else. And so sometimes people might be like, are you even listening? Are you hearing me talk? Like, did you hear what I said? And they might sometimes get frustrated, but I feel like they do. Most of them are very fond of you. We got the Two of Cups, so actually a lot of girls might really want to be like your good friend. They may view you as like best friend material, as someone they can really open up to, someone they can really trust. And also with the Prince of Wands, how that's kind of coming through to me as like, they might be aware that a lot of guys like you. They may make jokes about that. They may be like, oh, of course, because everyone crushes on pile 4 or something like that. It could also be your energy with the Prince of Wands. So the Prince of Wands is very creative as well. Wand is super creative, very active, and wands are very like full of life and energetic, and they love to try new things, go new places. That's why I'm not sure if it's your energy, because I feel like for some of you guys, you are a little lethargic. Sometimes you might have a hard time like getting energy. I'm even feeling a little like out of breath as I'm like tuning into this energy, which first I was like, oh, breathe through it. And then I'm like, oh no, maybe this is pile number 4's energy, because I feel like some of you guys are a little lethargic, or you like need to sleep a lot, or you might find you just get exhausted easily and you need a lot of rest. Definitely respect that. If that's the case, like you should listen to your own body for sure. And they have the Chariot, which is ruled by Cancer. So we have Cancer, Pisces, or no, excuse me, sorry, double Cancer. What was I thinking? So yeah, there's a lot of Cancerian energy, and Cancer is super, super psychic, ruled by the moon. And yeah, you guys, I feel like definitely give off that very psychic, intuitive vibe. Another thing about the moon in Cancer is, of course, it's the mother. And so Cancer people, I have so many Cancer best friends and people in my life who I'm close to who have Cancer. I feel like Cancers they can be so nurturing. Like they can be that friend that you go to when you're in trouble, when you're stressed out about something, whereas someone else might be like, yeah, so I'm kind of busy, I don't really have time. Like the Cancer is always going to take the time out to help you, to talk to you, and they're really going to give you that emotional warmth that you need so much. And they're really going to also, I find a lot of Cancers, maybe because they're ruled by the moon and they're very psychic, but they can give excellent advice, and really like a mom type of advice. Like they'll really give you that advice that you really need to hear. And so having a friendship like that can be kind of addictive. I also find Cancers to be really fun. Like I just think they're always down to like gossip, down to laugh. Like I think they're funny. I don't know, maybe it's my Cancer moon, but I just love a Cancer energy. Let's get into some more cards. How do men, what are their judgments of pile number 4? So we got the Wheel of Fortune coming through twice. Okay, Temperance, and let's see what else we're going to get for pile number 4. The Seven of Swords, and the Fool. Okay, and for how women view pile number 4, how do women judge pile number 4? What are their judgments of pile 4? We got the Nine of Pentacles, we got the Magician, the Ten of Cups, definitely, and finally the King of Pentacles. So it makes total sense to me seeing, first of all, the Ten of Cups, because again, how many times can I say that you guys are so nurturing and so sweet and loving? I also feel like with the Magician card coming out, there is that vibe of someone who kind of does, what is that? Like there's a TikTok sound that's like she does what she wants and she looks good doing it. But I feel like you guys also do what you want, and it's almost like you can make things happen that anyone else would say, oh, that's impossible. Like I feel like you can be very charming. So how this is coming through with women's perception as you is, I feel like if you guys were out, like if you were out with your group of friends, you're out at the bar, and maybe someone like wants to ask something crazy. Like I remember one time me thinking of something that happened in my life. I was out with my friends. We were having like dinner or lunch, brunch at this nice hotel, and we kept seeing them bring in like these amazing looking desserts on these like cards, like one after the other. And we were like, what the heck is this? And so my friend was like, that looks so good. And I was like, I know, these desserts look like so amazing. They were like nice French pastries. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go up and ask. So I did, and I asked if we could have some, and we did. They gave it to us, and my friend was like so impressed. But I feel like you would be that person that they would ask. They'd be like, I know you have the charm, I know you can get away with this. So if there was something like that, like if you're out at the bar and I don't know, the bartender's, giving a group a free shot and you and your friends are standing next to it, you might be like, maybe we could ask. And not that you're like entitled or anything, but I feel like you have that charming way that maybe with someone else, they might get annoyed by it and they might be like, well, how dare you even ask me? But with you, they might be like, you know what? Yeah, you can have a shot. Or, yeah, okay, I'll get you guys around for free on the house for the bar, and you might be that person that all your friends are like, oh, that guy's so cute. Like, I really wish you would come over here and talk to us. And you go over to him and you're like, hi. And your friends kind of send you over because they know you have the charm. They know you can get away with it. They know you just have that like special little magic sparkle about you that, you would get away with something that no one else could get away with. So yeah, I also feel like, again, 10 of Cups, 9 of Pentacles, also some of your girlfriends may feel a little protective of you. Like I feel like with the 9 of Pentacles, what's coming through is maybe they feel like you've always been protected, or there's something kind of sheltered about your energy, very non-jaded. Like you still seem kind of innocent, and there's a sweetness to you. No matter what age you are, you haven't lost your kind of youthful enthusiasm and your youthful spirit. It reminds me of in Under the Tuscan Sun, one of my totally favorite movies. There's like this older woman there, but she's just always got these magical stories happening. She dates these really cute guys, and she's always like eating ice cream in the palazzo in the Tuscan town and whatever. And that's what she says to her, is like, you must never lose your youthful enthusiasm. That's her advice. And she kind of has this optimistic attitude. So even though she's like 55 or 60 or something, she's always with cute guys. And she always has magical stuff happening for her. And it kind of reminds me of that. Like there's an ageless quality to her. There's a very youthful quality that you never quite lose, no matter what happens. You may even look younger than your age, or people may think you're younger than your age because of that. So for how guys view you, we have the Wheel of Fortune, the Temperance card, the Fool, and the Seven of Swords. Okay, so I feel like with the Fool, what I'm getting to is some guys might get frustrated with you because they may view you as kind of flighty or non-committal. That's coming through with the Wheel of Fortune as well, because of course the Wheel of Fortune connects with Sagittarius, Jupiter energy, which is very exploratory and very loving to set out on their own and do their own thing and try a new food, try a new culture, travel here and travel there, and kind of unpredictable. And I feel like you give off that vibe. Like you seem like someone that isn't necessarily looking for something really settled. You kind of love to try new things. You love adventure. You're always learning. Even if you are a homebody, which I could also see with all this Cancer energy, which literally rules the home. But I feel like there's something about you that is, like I said, it's like the manic pixie dream girl that's always, really sweet and charming to one guy, and he might fall in love with her, but she's kind of independent, and she kind of is always like hard to pin down. And there's kind of a challenge in that that's exciting. But guys might also sometimes get frustrated with you, or even afterwards say something like, well, you led me on, or I thought you wanted something serious. And sometimes that might really annoy them. with that Seven of Swords coming in, they might get angry or even vindictive towards you if they feel like, I feel like sometimes you made guys catch feelings, and guys that like have told themselves, I'll never catch feelings again, or I never catch feelings, or like, I'm totally over that, like I don't fall in love anymore, and like I'm too cool for that, and then they end up like really falling head over heels for you, and then kind of feeling stupid afterwards, and then getting angry and like taking it out on you, getting like really annoyed with themselves, like how could I, well, why did I fall for that, or why was I so down bad. I feel like also they see you as like wifey, or someone that they could bring home to mom and dad, someone that also would probably make a great mom, which I noticed this with like all Cancer major placements, that a lot of them, you know, will make great parents, and also they give off that vibe. Like they don't seem like the type who would just be like, oh, I can't connect with my kid, because yeah, Cancer is the mom. So it's usually, you know, someone male or female who's going to love parenting and just really enjoy that and really like have fun with it. Like they're not going to be like, oh, I have to raise these kids. They're going to be like, yes, I always wanted to be a mom. And of course, not all Cancers, hashtag not all Cancers, but I feel like, you know, a lot of Cancers definitely carry that energy with them, where you just know they'd make a great loving parent. Let me get some of these cards pulled away, and then we're going to shuffle new cards. Also, with the Temperance card, you guys may also seem like you are just very like calm or slow to anger, or you're not the type to like scream and rage. You also could seem, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else with the Temperance card, and then it exited my mind. Hopefully it will pop back into my mind. But with the Temperance card, I do feel like, yeah, you don't seem like someone who would necessarily like fly off the handle. I can't remember exactly what I was going to say though. So let's move on to these cards and pull some more for how men judge pile number 4, and hopefully it will pop back into my head. Lay of the land, ancestral wisdom. We got lost compass, getting back to integrity, dragon's horde, protecting the future. This one is winter's dream, gestation period. What did I say about you being a good mom and people picking up on that with you? It's coming up very strong. How do women judge pile number 4, spirit? This homey vibe. I'm telling you, the Cancer energy is so strong in you guys. Beloved, radical acceptance, feast of plenty, choices and their consequences, and Garden of Venus, rest and renewal. I feel like really a lot of girls like you. Like you're kind of a girl's girl. Guys like you too. It's not to say guys don't like you, but you're kind of a girl's girl. Like you give off that vibe that just, I feel like women love you. Like it's almost reminding me of like one of those celebrities like Sandra Bullock, who I think a lot of guys have crushes on her too. It's not to say like she's just as popular with women and no guy likes her, but I think like women love her and see her as like a friend, see her as someone they could get lunch with, see her as like kind of an ally, or just someone that they would love to hang out with. And I feel like a lot of girls feel that way about you. Like they just see you as a good one of the girls, and someone they can like have girl talk with, someone they can sit down with and, you know, chat with and like tell their problems to, and that you really have a good heart. And you would also give them good advice. Like you wouldn't be sabotaging them. You wouldn't try to like pull one over on them or humiliate them or, you know, do something underhanded. Like you really seem like someone that truly really does have everyone's best intentions at heart and tries to be kind and tries to be good. And I feel like a lot of women really do appreciate that about you and feel like they can kind of trust and let you into their inner world in a way they might not feel with many others. As far as how men view you, we also have, like I said, the gestation period, which does refer to pregnancy. So again, a lot of guys may think you're just going to be an amazing mom, or they might fantasize about that. We're not going to get into that too much, but they may think, wow, like they'd be such a great mom. They'd be such a great wife. They'd be such a great member of a family. Because I feel like, and also ancestral wisdom kind of connects with that, you know, because ancestors are members of your family. I feel like there are guys that think, oh, I'd love to start a family with pile number 4, because they would just make such a great parent. And there may be guys that see you as kind of lost, and again, you may bring out that protective side of them. I also feel like guys can get kind of confused. I'm hearing some of you guys dress in a way that's like very feminine or very artistic or theatrical, or you have an interesting sense of style that I feel like a lot of guys like don't get, like they don't understand it. But I also feel like they like appreciate that about you because they know that they don't get it, but it's kind of one of those masculine feminine polarity things that's still like attractive. Like it's kind of like, you know, you might not know anything about football as a woman and it's super boring to you, but you might still think that that football player is pretty hot. And it's kind of cool that like he goes and plays football, even if you're like, yeah, I don't know what a touchdown is. I don't know what an end zone is or whatever any of the things are, but like he looks good in that outfit. And so I feel like there's that vibe with guys with you where sometimes they're kind of confused by what you're doing, but it doesn't make them any less attracted to you. And if anything, it might make them even more attracted because they're just like, oh, this is such a feminine thing, or the way they dress is so feminine or so creative and artistic. And that's a very feminine energy because it really connects with water, which is feminine. So yeah, I feel like they see you as dreamy, intuitive, creative. Sometimes they don't understand your choices as a result, but it doesn't make them any less interested. Let's get into some of these cards for pile number 4. What are the judgments from men for pile 4? So we got wishing well. One thing I'm hearing is sometimes guys, you might even be interested in a guy, but guys may just think that you are so nice to everyone, and so it's almost like they don't take it seriously if you do like them or have a crush on them, or they just may assume that you're just being friendly or you're just being outgoing. And you might have had disappointing times when you're like, okay, why hasn't that guy approached me? Like, I've been flirting with him, but I feel like it's because you kind of low-key flirt with everyone, even without trying. Like, your smile is so dazzling. All these people fall in love with you, and guys know that. So sometimes they might be like, oh, I'm not going to even approach pile number 4 because they're not going to be down. They probably have like a million marriage proposals right at this moment. So why would I approach them? And sometimes they might hold themselves back, even if it is a possibility. Even if you would have said yes, there might be a lot of hesitance because I feel like it's almost like some guys, they worry about coming on too strong, or they would think that you're just, you know, just the nice girl that's being sweet to everyone and you just don't actually care. So they might think, oh, I'm delusional. Like, yeah, of course she smiled at you. She's going to smile at everyone, you know, that's how she is. So we got Field of Dreams, Follow the Leader, and we got Spark. Okay. Also, a lot of guys may really think of you as very creatively gifted. They may be very impressed if you show them like, oh, this is a song I wrote, or this is something I painted, or this is something I wrote, or whatever. I feel like a lot of guys that you show it to are like, wow, that is actually really, really good. Like, they did an amazing job, and they might really, really notice that about you. Like, whew, they are talented here. Let's get into some cards for how women judge pile number 4. How do women judge pile 4? So we got Dry Desert. Okay. And let's get some more cards. Sad Embrace, Cleaning House, and let's get one more, Bone Collector. Yeah, there may be that vulnerable quality as well that you give off that I also think a lot of women are drawn to with the Sad Embrace card. Like, I feel like women also kind of want to protect you. Women also kind of want to look out for you. And women think of you as someone that it's almost like even the most competitive or catty person, even if like at first they see you and they get intimidated, I feel like there's also like they just can't help falling in love with you. They can't help being like, you know, okay, pile number 4 is a good person and I like them. Like I said, it's giving kind of like Sandra Bullock vibes, how like actually technically she's like this stunningly beautiful woman and she's really gorgeous and she is someone you should be intimidated by, but so many women love her, you know, or a Reese Witherspoon. Like, you know, when you look at someone like Reese Witherspoon, technically she's really traditionally beautiful and we should, you know, maybe be competitive with her, or she should be more controversial the way like an Angelina Jolie is, or a, I don't know, like a Salma Hayek who just exudes this kind of like sexuality that a lot of, maybe women don't like her as much as the men do when she gets cast in roles. But like someone like Reese Witherspoon or Sandra, they're both extremely popular with women, and women love them in various roles. Even though they're super traditionally attractive, they just have that disarming quality. Like they really seem like they're not trying to steal your man, and if even if your guy came up to them and said like, hey, I really like you, they'd be like, no, 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 you're married. They seem like a girl's girl. They seem really loyal. So it's almost like even if someone is really attractive and initially you set off alarm bells in some women's mind, I feel like they're also, because you're so good at disarming that, because you are so nice, that you end up really like letting those people let their guard down. Also with Bone Collector, I feel like some of you guys, you really help certain women process trauma, and I'm hearing they may have told you things that they would never tell anyone else. They may find themselves like being honest with you or trauma dumping on you or opening up to you about something that they would usually never tell anyone, haven't told anyone, would completely keep to themselves, but they just feel so comfortable around you. They feel this beautiful, loving energy exuding from you, and they really feel like they can open up and trust you on such a deep level that they usually would never do. So yeah, overall, this is a really beautiful energy. I feel like mostly people really like you, both men and women. There are some downsides, but mostly, yeah, I think you leave a very positive mark, pile number 4. So that is what I have for you. If you want to see more of my readings, head on over to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings, over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to on Patreon. You also will get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. I just posted an exclusive reading all about how do you know this person from a past lifetime? What is your soul connection? What is your karma with them? We get really deep into that. And before that, what have people realized about you? But like I said, there's over 90 readings, also early ad-free access to YouTube. So it's a really great deal, I think. Anyway, if you're interested in signing up, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description and join me on Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that on my website, briarrosetarot.com. Whether you want a half hour or a full hour-long session, whether you want me to channel for you, read your tarot, read your astrology, do a combination of all three, you can really customize your reading so it's perfect for you. If you want a pre-recorded reading, if you want a live reading, you get to really pick and choose from all the options and get it to be the perfect session for you. So if you're interested, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link is in my description for that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.